So I watched The Flash last night because it's now free streaming on Amazon Prime. But before that, I'll just mention that looking at the gross for Aquaman, it's worldwide is currently 261. It based on a $205 million budget, and when you add in advertisement, it has not. I would say it's not broken even yet, but it probably will make a profit, but it looks like the gross has gone down significantly, the rate. So I don't know how much it's going to make. I don't even know if it's going to make more than Black Adam, which made less than 400 million. But my take on The Flash is I liked it. I thought it was really good. There were definitely some things that I would not have done in there, and a lot of because I watched a lot of critic reviews, and I didn't even care about spoilers, so I saw spoilers in the reviews. But I thought it was fun. Probably, I'd say the best, other than Suicide Squad. I would say I enjoyed it maybe more than the first Shazam movie, certainly more than the Justice League movie. So it's near the top of my favorite DC movies. I thought it was a lot of fun. And regardless of my feelings about Ezra Miller, and by the way, here's my Justice League, Zack Snyder Justice League Flash. By the way, this is not the costume they used. I think this costume is very problematic. It's overly busy. They used a much simpler costume in the Flash movie, and I think to the film's benefit. Ezra Miller, I'm not going to get too much into that. I'm going to try and avoid it, but he's not a good human being at all. And, a lot of people were a little dismayed that DC kept him on, regardless of the things he was doing. But I can't deny I thought his performance was fantastic. It's kind of a buddy film with Ezra Miller and Ezra Miller. So we have the older Barry Allen and the 18-year-old Barry Allen, and it works really well. It feels like two separate people, and they, I would have, if we didn't know that it was the same person, I think you could say, wow, those two have a lot of chemistry together, but it's him with himself. But I thought it was really well done. I enjoyed seeing Michael Keaton back again as the Batman. I thought it was just a lot of fun. I liked the new Kara Zor-El. Zor-El? I can't remember. Kara is the new Supergirl. Who knows if she'll ever be used again because they are rebooting it. A lot of the complaints, I think, are legitimate, and one of the biggest is the dodgy CGI. I didn't think that the opening action scene with the babies falling out of the building was well done. It looked terrible, I thought. The movie had way too much CGI, and I think one of the problems is, and I had watched a video where some CGI artists were talking about this film, and they said and maybe it's a little self-serving, but they were saying it's not the fault of the CGI artists. The problem is, because these are highly skilled professionals, the problem is when a movie studio asks for that much in a certain time limit, it becomes a problem. And I think that besides the baby shower scene, the other one is the Chrono Bowl. The Chrono Bowl is basically this area where the Flash can use it to go forward and backwards in time. It's like a big bowl, but he can see into the future and into the past. And the problem is the facial models looked like they came from the Polar Express. They were not good. And it's just a massive, massive amount of CGI that they were putting in there. And, to me, the best scenes in there were the character interaction, whether it's between old and young Barry, or Barry and Michael Keaton Batman, or the characters with Supergirl. And those could be CGI, minimal CGI. Anytime you have young Barry and old Barry on the scene, obviously you're going to have CGI. But it looked fantastic. I don't think the average person, a non-CGI artist, could tell. And even in the videos where they were talking about the two of them together, these CGI professionals, they were still confused as to exactly how they did it. They had ideas on how they did it, but they weren't sure exactly how they performed that feat of having the two talking to each other. I thought there was, the opening scene also featured a chase scene with Batman that I didn't think was very good. It used cartoon physics, and it just was silly. But it's the character interactions, and it's kind of like with the first Shazam movie, where the best parts were the parts with Billy and Freddie Freeman, and they didn't require CGI, or with Captain Marvel and Freddie Freeman, which did require some CGI, but minimal. I thought the worst parts were like the ending with a ton of CGI. And it's not that I'm against CGI. I think it can be used very well. But when I think of like the best fights in comic books or DC comic books that I've seen, I go back to the fight between Batman and Bane, two non-superpowered guys with either no CGI or minimal. I'm sure they probably use CGI, even though it's not apparent. Maybe they didn't. I don't know, actually. But it's like a crutch, in my opinion, that the usage of CGI. But I thought the movie was a lot of fun. There definitely are things I would change about it, and DC has kind of rendered it moot at this point since they're rebooting. There was something that occurred at the end where, even though Barry tried to undo or mostly undid the damage he did, there were still changes that would make the current, what was the DCU before James Gunn took over, untenable, because they changed who Batman is. But I did enjoy it. There were some laugh out loud moments. There were some groaners. Wonder Woman does show up early in the film. She uses her lasso to grab up Batman and some criminal, and then Barry's touching it. Since it's the lasso of truth, they start speaking truths, except the problem is that the lasso doesn't work like that. Like, Barry sits there and just announces that he's a virgin, and it's like, nobody asked you that question. I don't think the magic lasso is supposed to be like Tourette's. And so jokes like that did not land for me, but there were a lot of other jokes, subtle jokes, quips that I thought really did work for me. And I thought the ending was maybe the most poignant of all the endings in any of the DCEU films. I will have to, and that's the thing is, I'm so disgusted by Ezra Miller's behavior that I kind of don't want this film in my collection. But I did like the film, so it's tough. And also, and maybe non-nerds don't care about this stuff, but by rebooting, it rendered, and I don't know if this actually did have an effect on The Flash, Blue Beetle, and Aquaman, but it renders them kind of null and void. That it doesn't matter what this stuff happened, because they're rebooting it anyway, so who cares? But I will admit, I thought that it was, so it has a 63%, which is not a great score, but compared to a lot of the other scores on here, it's better than Fury of the Gods, Black Adam, slightly better than Wonder Woman, but it is way better. It's lower than Birds of Prey. Birds of Prey. I hated that movie so much. I would have given it more like maybe 80%. I thought it was good, maybe even higher than that. There were parts I didn't like. I wish they would have toned down the CGI, maybe give the CGI studio less work, then they could have cleaned up what they did. But it's free now. If you have Amazon Prime, watch it. And I thought it was pretty good, even regardless of my feelings about a certain actor. So that's my feelings about The Flash, which it's kind of amazing to me that it's already free, given that it only came out March of 2023. That's a pretty fast move to free streaming, but maybe they got all the money they thought they were going to get from sales.